Hi, this is Christina, and this is my regularly scheduled book haul. Uh, and I wanted it to take place on Saturday as usual. This is 2 weeks worth of books that I got during the week of BEA and then this week. So it's a little bigger than sometimes, and it's got some good things in it. I'm going to try to explain the books a little more because in doing my BEA book hauls, which I've started filming but which won't start going up until tomorrow, I have realized that it might be helpful if I actually knew something about the book when I tried to tell you about the book. Weird concept, I know. It's amazing that it took me this long to think of it since it's so complex and everything. Anyway, so the first book I got two books from Disney Hyperion, both of which I'm very excited about. The first one is Alienated by Melissa Landers, which I believe when I first saw the blurb on Goodreads, it compared it to Firefly a little bit, which was probably just because, you know, space and humor, but I'm not for space and humor at any point. So the blurb starts out, 2 years ago the aliens made contact, now Kara Sweeney is going to be sharing a bathroom with one of them. So her family gets the first exchange student from the aliens' lair. L''EIHR is apparently what the aliens are called. And they have nearly identical DNA, but there's a bunch of racism against them. So it's going to get into like what it means to be human and acceptance. And then there's obviously she's going to fall in love with the alien boy. So I'm hoping it runs more to the humor side of things than to the melodramatic forbidden love story side of things, but I will find out. And then the second one I got from Disney is Rose Under Fire by Elizabeth Wen, which I'm very excited to read. Codename Verity was a brilliant novel. Didn't quite emotionally connect to it myself, but I can still appreciate that it was incredibly brilliant, and her writing was so daring, and it was very dark and original, especially for YA fiction. And this one is one that I actually had gotten at BEA, but it was a sacrifice to the Postal Service gods, apparently. And it was one of the ones lost from box number 2, The Tragedy. And Disney was nice enough to send me another copy. So this is hugs for you, Disney. Hug, hug, hug. Anyway, I would hug my cat for you, Disney, but he won't come over here. Anyway, this one is about... It's a companion novel, so it's not about the same characters. This one is about a poet named Rose Justice who is a pilot, and she is captured by the Nazis and sent to Ravensbrück, a women's concentration camp. So, it sounds awesome because I like dark stories like that. I was a history major, and World War II has always been one of my favorite time periods to study, read about, anything like that. So, very excited. My third book is from Orbit, which is an imprint of Hachette Book Group, and it is Cold Steel by Kate Elliott. It's the third book in the Spirit Walker trilogy. These are probably going to be jumping, this one and book 2, since I've only read book 1 so far, will be jumping to the top of my Sadie Hawkins list since, let me see, since Nafisa, I hope I said that right, but I probably didn't, I think it's Bibliographic Monologues, recommended this for me to read. Well, she recommended the first one, which I'd already read, so I'm taking that as the rest of the series. So this will probably come up really, really soon in my Sadie Hawkins Sunday posts. Then I got 2 books from Simon & Schuster, Touchstone imprint. First one is The Crown by Nancy Bilio, and also The Chalice by Nancy Bilio. And these are sort of companion novels, but I still like to read them in order, so they sent me the first one so that I can be on the blog tour for the second one. And this first one is about Joanna Stafford, a Dominican nun who learns that her favorite cousin has been condemned by Henry VIII to be burned at stake. And then she gets arrested for trying to prevent that and for standing at her cousin's side, and she's sent to the Tower of London. So it's set in that time period, and Cromwell's troops are threatening and lots of stuff. So I'm all about historical, and my friends who love historical and have read this all loved it. So I'm really excited to read this series. And then from St. Martin's Press, I got Charm and Strange by Stephanie Kuhn, a pretty finished copy. It's much shorter than I had thought it would be. Anyways, Blythe Harris of Finding Bliss in Books really, really loves it. I know Jenny of Alluring Reads didn't like it as much, but I'm hoping that this will be the kind of mindfuck that I really appreciate. And the blurb is really interesting. Andrew Winters is at war with himself. He's part Wynne, the lonely teenager exiled to a remote Vermont boarding school in the wake of family tragedy. The guy who shuts all his classmates out, no matter the cost. He's part Drew, the angry young boy with violent impulses that control him. The boy who spent a fateful long-ago summer with his brother and teenage cousins, only to endure a secret so monstrous it led 3 children to do the unthinkable. So, there are certainly some things that I would like to know from the beginning of this blurb. There's a bit more, but that was enough to get me kind of hooked. So, I don't think I want to read any more, because sometimes they give things away that I would rather that they didn't. And just this morning, apparently late last night, and by late, I mean like 8:30, I went to sleep at 6:30 last night because I was so exhausted. This book arrived, More Than This, by Patrick Ness, which is Candlewick, and this is coming out in September. And the blurb is, again, it's another one where you're like, ooh, what's going on? It says, a boy named Seth drowns, desperate and alone, in his final moments, losing his life as the pounding sea claims him. But then he wakes. He is naked, thirsty, starving, but alive. How is that possible? He remembers dying, his bones breaking, his skull dashed upon the rocks. So how is he here? And where is this place? Looks like the suburban English town where he lived as a child, before an unthinkable tragedy happened and his family moved to America. But the neighborhood around his old house is overgrown, covered in dust and abandoned. What's going on? And why is it that whenever he closes his eyes, he falls prey to vivid, agonizing memories that seem more real than the world around him? Seth begins to search for answers, hoping that he might not be alone, that this might not be the hell he fears it to be, that there might be more than just this. So, I'm really curious what's going on, because the blurb doesn't really tell you all that much, which I'm sure is intentional. Also, this looks really fun in the video. Anyways, I've heard only amazing things about Patrick Ness. I mean, even Renee of Respiring Thoughts absolutely loved his stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the best ever. And then I purchased one book, a pre-order of Siege and Storm, which came in, and I'm so glad I ordered it because it's so shiny and hardcover. Also, if you take off the jacket, there's another little dragon on the spine. Look at the dragon. Isn't that cute? It looks like he's got little octopus arms. So, and if you haven't read Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm yet, you totally should, because Leigh Bardugo is kind of a wizard of writing and awesomeness, and in Siege and Storm she turns it into a love square, which would normally make me want to barf all over the place copiously, but was totally, absolutely necessary, and she's the best. Also, Mike just came. If I can pick him up, he's so heavy. And I just knocked some books over, because you're so fat and heavy, Percy. Why are you so fat? Actually, he's really thin right now, because he came back from his parents. From my parents. He was there while I was at BEA, and he wasn't all that happy, so he didn't eat as much as usual, so he's all svelte now. Do you want to show them how svelte you are? Let's lift you up like the Lion King. Na Svenja, na-da-dee-da-da-bo, Svenja. You love this, yes? Okay. Weekly cat torture is complete, and you guys will get to see a lot of my face this week if you want to, since I've got 4 more book hauls for you. Woo! Alright, I'm going to go take a nap now. Bye!